So welcome to the MnRI seminar. This is the last one for February. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce you Seth Gupta, who is the Chief Technology Officer, co-founder, and Chief Data Scientist of ImagoAI. It's a local startup that looks at the application of AI in food quality. She has a pretty unique background that combines AI with data science, and is going to talk about the next frontier of AI. And from what we discussed, you are going to find the presentation very interesting, because it's not only the technical aspect, but also the entrepreneurial aspect, which we all need to understand better. So without further ado, Shweta, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank Nick for this introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's my pleasure to be here. So let me quickly share my screen, and just if you can make sure that everyone can see that. Is it visible?
It is visible.
Yes.
Awesome. We're a go.
Okay, all right. So today talk is, I'll be talking about, as Nick was mentioning, so next one, frontier in AI. So I call it like ecosystem intelligence. And this is basically a synthesis of my experience in AI since last 10 years. So it's more like an imagination talk, what is possible through AI rather than what's happening right now. All right. So this is a very interesting concept, which basically kind of gave me inspiration to think about this talk, that is convergence of technology. So what is happening right now is we have all these kind of cool technology. AI is evolving at its own pace. IoT is evolving at its own pace. And we have cloud computing, we have IoT, we have wonderful devices. So now imagine we have all this kind of technology in place. What can we do next? So for example, if we think of AI as a 4-year-old, and if we think of AI in layers, so we have already built like multiple layers. Now with existing layer, what can we do next? This is what I call it like convergence of technology. All right. So one of the interesting thing that is happening is evolution of AI. So AI is evolving at its own pace. For example, right now, we don't have just data, we have insights. The companies who are working on AI, they don't just look at data. So they are also generating insights from them. So it means now we are moving from data civilization to intelligence civilization. And similarly, right now, we are not just focusing on rules. So previously, there were like companies were writing manual rules, but now there are models. We do all kind of prediction, analytics. So the AI is moving toward that. It's already happening. The third is AI is not just capable of listening, but it can also hear. Similarly, it just can't understand the web. It can't just read the web, but it can also understand the web. So all these interesting things is happening. And another example is, for example, AlphaGo. So it's not just able to encode the moves, but it can also learn strategies. So imagine all these things are already happening. We are shifting from data to insights, from moves to strategies. Now here's a thing to think about in that perspective. What if, for example, what if what we are able to achieve in AlphaGo, that's a really cool technology, AI and all this thing is there. But what if we have achieved in AlphaGo, can we replicate that in different segments, like career, like healthcare, like agriculture? Because if you see, healthcare is nothing but set of strategy. Agriculture is nothing but set of strategy. So this is, I just want to give you a perspective to think in that direction. So what so far we have able to achieve. So can we replicate, can we borrow ideas from all this cool stuff that is happening around us, and can we implement in different sector? So I'll be talking about giving you some examples also to kindle your imagination here. All right, so next interesting thing that is happening is Product evolution. So not just in terms of AI evolution, but product evolution. So when we think of ourselves as AI developer, AI engineers, so we need a layer of product development, product evolution also. For example, if you talk about our parents' generation, so they used to excite about products like refrigerator, TV, cars, right? So I call it like instinctive intelligence. So it means they are not, so they have programmed intelligence. So if you take your iPhone and go out in sun, so it's become brighter. So this is a programmed intelligence, right? So the instinctive intelligence which we see in animals like cat, dogs. So this I call it product 1.0. Now, what happening is we move from product 1.0 to product 2.0. I call it like crowd intelligence, all this stuff, Google, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, right? So the difference between product 1.0 and product 2.0 is product 2.0 was not intelligent from the day one. Like Amazon was not intelligent from the day one. So users start using these products, and with time, with user feedback, they evolve, they become intelligent, right? So they are gathering their intelligence from the crowd. So we took a huge leap from product 1.0 to product 2.0. Now, can we take another huge leap from product 2.0 to product 3.0? This is what my core focus of this talk, to like, again, kindle your imagination, what the possible product looks like. Not just in terms of evolution of technology, but in terms of like product thinking also. So the one key idea that we have learned from product 2.0 is taking a AI technology, it can be a search engine, it can be a social network, and scale it to the planet level. So we have achieved that, we have learned that in last 20 years. So we have product 1.0, we have product 2.0. Now, how product 3.0 looks like. So I call it ecosystem intelligence. So imagine smart city itself a product, not just Alexa, Siri, or smart city. Similarly, connected agriculture system of a whole country itself a product, right? Connected car ecosystem itself a product. So I'm gonna not talk about from the jargon perspective, but what is the core of that? How to make it possible? So this is what I'm calling at ecosystem intelligence and how to make it possible. So I believe like looking at 5 years or 10 years down the lines. So these products are very much feasible, but we need like guiding principles, how to do that. We just not need AI developer, but we need product thinkers who can think. We have all these technologies, like we have IoT, we have cloud computing, we have all these AI, but we need somebody to think about this existing layer and to take product from there. All right. So I'll be giving you some examples of this, how ecosystem products looks like. Again, these are based on the imagination, like what in the next layer of AI looks like. So one example which I thought was like ecosystem of applications. So this is a real example that happened to me. I'm sure most of you know about like MnRI. So I was watching her videos on YouTube, her talks. So now YouTube, I have YouTube app in my mobile phone. I was listening to her videos, her talks. So now YouTube knew about me, that I'm interested in that person. I'm interested in CEO talks. So he learned certain information about me, right? This is happening all the time. I'm interacting with YouTube and YouTube is learning about me as a user. Now, a few months later, my friend told me there is a book about Indra Nooyi on Amazon. I think it would be a great read. And then I figure out, I then go to Amazon and order that and I read that. But the key difference is my friend told me. So what if, what happening is, so YouTube is living in its own silos, Amazon is living in its own silos. So these are two different apps. So what if YouTube is consuming my interests, it's building my persona, and Amazon is consuming content, recommendation from YouTube, and then recommending me, hey, you might like this book. So imagine we don't need Android or iOS as operating system. We need personal assistant as new operating systems. So we are using hundreds of apps and they are serving their like individual purpose, individual needs. So we need to combine all these apps in one integrated framework so that they can start talking to each other. So this is I call ecosystem of applications. So this ecosystem itself product. So another example is ecosystem of AI applications. So this was a startup of one of the data scientists back in India. So he was working in his startup. So it was from there. So here, imagine it's like a highly adaptive education system. So right now in our education system, what's happening is we are writing the same textbook for billions of students, right? Independent of their capability, their interest area, their learning way. Now, how can we use this ecosystem thinking to make our education system more personalized, highly adaptive? For example, imagine you have a tablet or you have a mobile phone, anything, it's like your whiteboard or your notebook where student can write. So we need an AI system which can recognize your handwriting, your languages in different language, your images, your videos, all your physics, chemistry, mathematics formulae, right? Now, once we reach to that recognition level, then we need understanding. We need AI system which can understand you as a student, like your knowledge, how you learn, what mistakes you are making, what is your learning behavior. So that AI system can build your persona. Now, once that understanding has been gained, now teaching you in a personalized way. For example, based on your learning behavior, are you a theoretical learner or are you a visual learner? So on that basis, giving you next problem statement. You should work on this as next problem statement. This is your curriculum. This is your content. So highly adaptive, highly personalized system. And finally, once we have all the system in place, so we need an AI system which can communicate in a humanly way. It can be speech in different languages, conversation, facial expression, emotions, gesture. So the point I'm trying to make is like to evolve thinking from product 2.0 to product 3.0 is, if you see in a nutshell, all these AI applications already there. We have solved text to image, text to intent, we have solved handwriting recognition. So we have solved all these gestures, speech, conversation, but they are scattered all over the place, right? So we need somebody who is not worried about building this AI application from the core, but who can integrate them to apply that in certain area, right? Similarly, this is just an example of education. So you can take example of any sector like agriculture. In agriculture, you can have a AI agriculture expert at the core, right? Which is interacting with farmer, which has all the knowledge base of agriculture, which disease, which pesticides, or what are the best practices. So it's more interactive, right? So this is just an example of ecosystem of AI APIs. So with all the existence AI capability, what can we achieve next? All right. So the next ecosystem product example is optimization. So this happened to me a lot of times. So if I'm going somewhere and I'm stuck in a traffic, then I look at my Google Maps and it's so currently what's happening is, so we have algorithms in place who is trying to optimize route independently. So each one of us trying to optimize our own commutes, right? Optimize our own route. What if we can have an ecosystem in connected car where we are optimizing all this route, all this commute jointly? So imagine in our connected car system, a car is speaking to another car and the car is interacting with you also, and then jointly we are optimizing the whole commute. So this is my point. So the difference between product 2.0 and product 3.0 is, in product 2.0, it's interacting with just people. You know, you are consuming Google, you are consuming YouTube. So it's a user interaction, right? In product 3.0, it's not just user and product interaction, but it's like product to product interaction. A car is talking to another car and it's interacting with you also. So it's like jointly optimized ecosystem. Okay. Now, in order to make all this, so these are just glimpses of what is possible through all this existing technology in order to shift our thinking from product 2.0 to product 3.0. Now, in order to make it possible, so there are some shifts happening in order to make these things achievable. So I'm going to talk about like 3-4 big shifts which are happening around us. So one thing that is shifting is the world is moving from document-centric to knowledge-centric. So we used to think that our world is made up of posts, document, tweets, news, images, video, okay? But actually our world is made up of people, institutes, events, their attributes. So we need to shift our mindset from document thinking to knowledge thinking. So let me explain you with this example. So as I'm speaking, and after this talk, you might not remember my exact words or my exact sequence of word. All right. So your brain is not tuned to learn the exact sequence of word. It's like language dependent, but you might remember the knowledge impart. So the point I'm trying to make is our brain is tuned to remember the knowledge, which we have acquired, but not exact language. So the beauty about knowledge is it's language agnostic. Okay. When we talk about technologies like text mining, NLP, so they are language centric. So one algorithm you have implement on one language, it might not work in another language. Okay. So we need to shift our thinking from document centric to knowledge centric. So we need to represent our knowledge in knowledge graphs. Then we need to have technology to mine that graph, so that we can move from learning, understanding, the AI capability of learning, all these full machine learning algorithm, the AI capability to understanding, from reasoning. So we can start building stuff which can reason. Only then we can achieve our vision of product 3.0. So this is one of the shift that is happening. Another shift that is happening is from app-centric to assistant-centric. So for example, when I think of pizza, I might think of DoorDash, or if I think of ride, I might think of Uber. So right now our thinking is provider-centric. So we are using thousands of apps, and when I'm thinking of my need, I'm thinking of that application. What if I have a personal assistant in my mobile phone, and I'm talking to that personal assistant, and that personal assistant is talking to all this app. Right now, I'm talking to individual app, right, to serve one of my needs. So what if I have personalized assistant, and that is taken care of every of my needs? So in order to make it possible, so again, we have to shift our thinking from product perspective also, not just from the technology perspective, that can we have an operating system instead of Android or iOS, which is more personalized, which is talking to all these apps. So this is what I call it, like app-centric to assistant-centric. So next shift that is happening is, so this is for all the UI UX people. So we have all kind of menu system, wonderful designs, UI UX, a lot of research is happening in that area. All this Uber, Amazon working on really cool interface. But no matter how beautiful and cool they are, but still it's not the natural way how human interact with each other, right? So we need to shift our thinking from menu-centric to natural human-computer interface. So these natural interfaces, they're in the form of like vision, conversation, gesture. This is how human interacts with each other. So this is for the like UI UX people who, so I think like in few years, coming years, so this would be the building blocks of all these interfaces. So all these shifts are happening in a nutshell. Another thing which I want to talk about is, see, a technology is as good as its use cases, right? So right now we have solved convenience use case from AI, like we have solved e-commerce, we have solved all these app, like delivery app, all this we have solved, search engine, which was a very important problem. But now after solving all these convenient problems, can we move to real use cases which can be solved by AI? And this is what I call it, like convenience to inclusion. So I'm not just thinking about one portion of the planet. So it's like inclusive of all the people of different ethnicity, of different language. For example, if I talk about any speech technology, if I'm building this technology for just one language, it's not inclusive. But if I'm thinking about all the ethnicity and all the languages, so this is what I'm call about inclusion. So can we move from convenience use cases to real use cases? So for example, so we have so many use cases which are waiting to be solved. We have education problems. So can we make a personalized education system so that it's not generalized, it's more personalized? So right now, if we talk about like developing countries, so only 5 or 6% of the people are getting education. But now we have IoT, we have cloud computing, we have all these devices, we have AI. So can we use all these technology to impart education to the whole planet? Similarly, we have healthcare in place. So right now, we have a deadly disease like cancer, which is waiting to be solved by technology. So can we do that? Can we build a more strong infrastructure for healthcare using all these technologies? Again, the same thinking we can apply to agriculture sector, to mobility, to environmental issues, to cybersecurity. So the world is waiting for people like us to solve all these real use cases where we can utilize the existing layer of AI and other technologies and can integrate them to provide what looks like product 3.0. So this is a nutshell which I want to talk about and like to give an idea how to, it's require a bit of mindset shift to evolve from product 2.0 to product 3.0. So in the next 2 slides, I would like to show you what we are working in our startup, and then I would like to have a discussion around that. So my startup is basically ImagoAI, like Nick was mentioning. So we are trying to solve food safety and quality issues. So we use AI at core. So right now, our food supply chain is really broken if we see it from the core, right? We all the time we see news that foodborne illnesses and all these things are happening. So the vision of our company is to deliver a solution to food manufacturers, to growers, to processors, to have a better ecosystem in place so that they can have they can provide highly safe and quality food to their end user like us. So what we do is basically we have developed an AI engine, AI brain, which takes any food sample and in turn it provides it's like not just physical parameter. For example, is there any contamination in my food, or is there any foreign object in my food, but what are the chemical properties of my food? What is the toxin level? What is the protein level? All this stuff. So and we provide that using technology called hyperspectral imaging. You can Google it later on. So it's a combination of hyperspectral imaging and AI at the core. So the value proposition which we provide to our customer, which is basically food manufacturer, is our solution is real time. It absolutely requires no human intervention and like no need of chemicals, which is a huge cost to the company also. And of course, it's like very automated in nature. So that's about this talk for now. If you have any query or want to discuss anything with me, so this is my email address. And yeah, thank you for this opportunity, and I'm open to discussion.
Thank you. Questions?
Hi, I've got a question.
Yes.
So one of my good friends used to work in the food industry with like processed meats, and he's a microbiologist, so he spent a lot of time testing for bacteria, whatever. Is that something that your product can look for? Because that's such a huge time waste, basically watching your product sit in the warehouse for 2 days while stuff grows on a plate in a fridge or whatever, or an oven. So I guess that's my question is that included bacteria?
Yes.
Things like that.
Right. So I completely agree with your point. And so using this solution, we are able to detect pathogens like E. coli in meat. So right now we have worked on in meat, but I believe it's possible in belief, so we can replicate in other products also. But because this technology is looking at the unique spectrum, and each and every material in this world has unique spectrum, unique spectral signature. For example, every unique human being in this world has unique fingerprint, right? And similarly, every unique composition, food characteristics, speaking in like food industry terminology, so they have unique spectrum. So the role of the hyperspectral imaging sensor is to capture that spectrum, and the role of the AI is to figure out that uniqueness and learn that in a continuous way by having feedback. But yeah, having said that, it's very much possible, and we're also doing that.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
So do you want to say a little bit about your entrepreneurship experience and how is to survive, grow, the struggles of the startup and the excitement of the startup?
So Nick, your voice is quite broken. So can you repeat your question one more time?
So can you hear me?
Yeah, I think so now.
So my question is, do you want to tell us a little bit about your experience being a founder of a AI startup? How easy, how tough it was, pitfalls, impediments you had, opportunities?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, so I think for that we might need another 1 hour, but yeah, I'll try to cover as much as possible in the next 5-10 minutes. It's never easy. So like I came here with my co-founder in 2019 in St. Paul. So we were selected here in Techstars, which is a world-renowned startup accelerator program all over the world. So they selected 10 startups from the world who were focused on solving food supply chain issues. So there were people from startup from Canada, Australia, London, all over the world. And then, so the idea was to figure out your product market fit and to expand the business. So one thing which I have learned in startups, especially in AI startup, the sooner you will identify your product market fit, the better you would be in a good spot. And this is what we have learned very, very hard way. So we ourselves have pivoted multiple times, right? But when I have a chance, because I'm from an AI background and I want to do utilize this technology for something good. I was not interested in solving use cases like e-commerce or delivery apps. I always want to focus on some real use cases. So we started from agriculture, like if you might know this term like phenotyping. So it means you have a mobile app and you are taking a picture of your agriculture crops and you are telling physical parameters using all this computer vision technology, like what is the length, what is the width, what is the disease of your crop, right? But which time we realized that, and this is what most people miss, especially from technology background, that it's highly customized business, right? Because different countries, different companies, they might have different parameters to be measured, and it doesn't have much market. So then we pivoted our technology from just RGB mobile phone to this, what you are looking at, hyperspectral imaging sensor. So this gave us a great edge because using this technology, we were just not able to solve physical parameters like shape, size, color, but also chemical and biochemical parameter, like Jordan was asking, pathogens, chemical composition. And then we start interacting with one thing that is really important, and this is a constant exercise which I believe every entrepreneur should do, that to validate your idea again and again. It's not like if you have started, because it's very easy to get lost track of the time, and it's really important to keep on validating your idea. So we have a system in place, and again, this we learned very hard way. So we have mentors from companies like Cargill, General, Nestle. So every month we have meeting with them. So to make sure that we are on the track. And this way, ultimately, we figure out our product market fit. Yes, this is the technology where I want to spend my next 4 or 5 years in building some really useful and valuable product. Then we talk to like hundreds of VP of food safety and food quality people. Are we doing right? Do you need this product? Why you need this product? So because it's not just about building a cool technology. It's about delivering value. So the end user will not care about whether you have used AI or you have used any technology. They will care about what they are getting out of that. It may seem obvious to you, but it's not that obvious when you're working inside. You get lost into building cool technology, especially this is true for the technology people because they are so much attached to their technology, their field, right? Hey, I want to utilize the best algorithm for AI because I'm the best in AI and I want to grow myself in AI. But that's unfortunately not true when you work in a startup, because in startup, your biggest resource is, especially when you are starting, is your time. So I literally have spent my 1 year in figuring out what is the single most product that each and every one of my clients need. But I did my homework 1 year so well, so hard that now at this stage we are here, we have find our product market fit. So product market fit, idea validation, these are the two core concepts which sooner you fix it, the better you will survive. And then coming on the survival part, so yet it's not easy, it's like really hard because if I speak from my experience, you are not just leading technology team, right? You have other things to worry about. For example, you have built this for technology, which is like highly accurate, and you have a clear value proposition of your technology, but how you make it adaptive, okay, so that your end user can adapt this technology. So if you are working on any disruptive startup, so in my belief, it should be falling in one of two categories. One category is you are replacing a manual process through technology. It can be AI, cloud computing, IoT, right? For example, in our case, we are replacing existing manual process of quality and safety analysis by our technology. And we are doing it so well. Our value proposition is so clear and solid that we are doing disruption in food tech space. Another category is it even not possible to do it manually. For example, what Google did last 20 years ago, it was not possible at all. All this Google search engine, Yahoo, Bing search, it was not even possible to search, right, manually. So they were disruptive in that sense. So the point I'm trying to make is, so as a founder, you have to solve all three problems. So your value prop, what value prop you are going to deliver, how you are going to deliver, is your technology feasible, and it's within timeline. If you are like way too ahead of the curve, you are surely going to fall. If you are way too behind, it's not even makes sense. And the third important point is how to make it adaptive to end user. For example, the way we did is we do not market is like we are AI expert, we are machine learning expert. We market is like, hey, this is the value you are getting out of that. This is a really easy interface which we have built for you, which is like no brainer. So it should be like no brainer for the end user. Only then they will start shifting their mindset from what they are doing currently to what you are selling them. Tech people, so because naturally tech people are not best salesmen, but I think technology people, they should know how to sell their technology. Yeah. And I'm happy to know, like, if any one of you thinking of starting any startup, or if you're facing any challenge or want to discuss with me, I'm happy to do that.
So thank you. I mean, this is great, but let me ask you, so if I understand correctly, the company was overseas. You started overseas. Is there a difference? I mean, how difficult was, what, can you make any comparisons between US and overseas when you are in the startup landscape?
You mean starting a startup in US versus other countries?
No, now you are in the US. Do you still have the branch in India? I believe you started in India. Am I right?
Oh, okay. Yes, so we started in India in 2017. There we built an application for farmers, like previously I was talking to you. So this application was for disease identification, like farmers can take a picture and then they can identify in real time what is the disease. And then based on the identified disease, so there were recommendation. So we did that for 1.5 years. Then we got selected here in Techstar, and then we shifted our business from India to US. The reason for that is because in startup, so there can be two kinds of startup. One is bootstrap, which were not dependent on funding, and one is like investment. So in a country like India, so you need resources, a lot of resources, especially none of us, like in our core team, we were not from agriculture background, right? And in order to interact with farmers, you need to have that kind of background, right? But then when we came here, we interacted with like hundreds of all these food safety, food quality experts. Then this idea came to us that we need to upgrade our technology. Again, the second point which I was mentioning is, is your solution good enough to be within time? So what we were doing in India, we feel that it doesn't have that much long-term impact. We need to upgrade ourselves, and this is what we do here. So India company, so the business is completely based out of US, and we work with companies outside of US also, for example, in Canada and Europe. In India, we have our tech team, but the business is centered here.
I see. So other questions?
Shweta, how did you, how are you supporting yourself, the company until you are able to raise enough market sales revenue and so on? Were you able to raise venture capital funding, or how are you supporting the company?
Yes, yeah, right now we are very well funded. So this program, accelerator program like Techstars, and there are other accelerator program also. So they invest in your company, and we have other investors also. So financially, we are very secure. But I guess your question is, before that, how did we survive?
No, I mean, I didn't know about this. So there's a program called Techstar that is provided a lot of funding to you.
Yes, right. And it's like highly competitive to get selected into. But yeah, it's a good spot to be in. Other than funding, they provide a lot of external support in terms of business expansion, and in terms of what you need to know as a startup challenges. So it's a good accelerator, I would say. A lot of learning curve gets shortened. So what you will be learning by experience, maybe in 1 year, here you learn in just 3 months, 4 months.
Okay.
So since we have several students attending this, what do you think are the hottest areas? What are you looking for in a graduate who is in the broader area of AI, computer vision, robotics? What are the skills you think are the most needed?
Sure. So the skill set depend upon what do you want to make out of this education program. So if your vision is to have a high paying job in companies like, I'm just taking example purposes like Google, Microsoft, so that require one kind of skill set. In that, you not just have to be good enough, you have to be the best. Okay. For example, computer vision. In computer vision, everybody is doing computer vision, right? But see, right now data science is becoming easier and easier with all these APIs. Programming is becoming easy, right? There are a lot of TensorFlow, AI APIs, computer vision APIs. So this is what will not take you ahead of the curve. So I always say data science starts from formulation, design thinking. So do you have, ask this question to yourself, do you have capability, for example, to write from scratch your own neural network? If you have, then you lie in different category, right? But this might not be same for everybody. Another category can be, so do you have that capability to think in product perspective? So I must tell you, so most, at least what I have seen is, not all AI developers, all these researchers, they are not so natural or good in product thinking. They are really good in building all these cool, innovative AI algorithm, but they don't know what to do of that. So this is, I believe, a very undermined skill set. But as I'm evolving also with my startup, I'm learning that this is one of the core skill set, which I think this is the future. So product thinking in AI is one of the upcoming field, which I'm seeing as I'm interacting with other colleagues in startup, especially in AI startup. And the third thing is, so you have your like core research area. I can do something from scratch. I can do product thinking. But the next thing is, like I was saying in my video also, in my talk also, how to make sense of your technology. And this is especially true for people who want to do something like what I'm doing, like in startup space, right? If you are really good in some kind of technology, you have really cool idea, but how can you make sense of that? So do you have resources enough to validate that idea? So like thinking products, thinking idea, startup idea in terms of like AI product. So for example, in robotics, I was interacting with another startup a few days back. So in robotics, that guy was really good in robotics. He built all the system from scratch by himself, but he was stuck how to evolve that robotic system so that I can make some money out of that. So then I was interacting with him. Then I mentioned that, hey, we are into the food tech supply chain, and I interacted with a lot of food safety quality people, and they mentioned that some of them are working in robotic kitchens. You might have also heard of this idea. But that skill set of, even if you heard that idea, the skill set of breaking that idea into like principle so that you can know whether it's feasible or not. So you know what I'm trying to say? It's like kind of design thinking, not just any design thinking, but having an idea and breaking that into a niche segment so that you can understand its feasibility.
Sure. Thank you. Let me check to make sure we don't have any more questions.
I have a couple more questions if we've got time. It's a most important question. So you talked about talking to your customers a lot, like monthly, I think you said. If you were building like a physical product, say a robot, for instance, you'd have a very different conversation than I think you're probably having with AI. So my question is, what is that conversation like? Who in the company are you talking to? Like, how do you show them that what you've got is what they need, or how do you get that feedback? Because if it was a robot, I could show some drawings for some parts and be like, and they could say, no, we don't need that. We do need that. But how do you do that for something that doesn't quote unquote exist?
Right, exactly. So the common mistake, which at least we did, is we assume whatever we are speaking, our customer, they will visualize by themselves. No, it's completely wrong. You have to, if you want real feedback, you have to go with your prototype. It's not just in the form of wireframe, but show them something tangible, something working. Do not assume that they will visualize themselves. No. So these people, especially in our industry, so because they are not used to into like innovative thinking, so they are just busy in their day in, day out. That's it. So you have to show them for at least something physical and tangible, and then be specific in your ask. You show them your prototype. and prepare a set of questions, not just like, hey, this is what I have built, what do you think? No, the more specific you will be in your ask. So I believe this product is going to deliver this value proposition. For example, robotics, it will automate this, it will save you time. It's that much precise. What do you think? Or give them some scale. On the scale of 1 to 5, where do you see yourself using it as an end consumer? So be specific in your ask. Quantify what you're asking. For example, if you're asking, I believe it's very fast. So quantify that very fast, like from them, verify them. So I believe it will save you 90% of the time. Is it true or not? So be specific and quantify. I think these two are really important to show them something tangible. Point 1. Point 2 is be specific in your ask and try to get it quantified so that you have your value proposition clear in your mind.
Excellent, thank you. Sort of a follow. Oh yeah, this similar question. So for your product specifically, I guess my question is your value, because you're using an off-the-shelf camera, so is your value that a human can't identify things as well as your AI can, or just that this is going to be cheaper than a person, faster than a person? Like, is it a humans can't even do it, or is it just that this is a cost savings?
Yes. So in our case, value proposition lies in second category. Like it's cheaper, it's faster, is more accurate, more reliable. In few of the parameters, it's like even human can't do this. For example, if you're detecting a foreign object in a running conveyor belt, so human has limitation in terms of speed. You can have eyeball with limited speed of the conveyor belt, but if you're talking about high throughput system, even humans can't do that. So I would say lies in both category, but primary, it's more about replacing a manual process and providing value for like cheaper, faster, better. I would not say cheaper, but more economical and cost effective.
Right. Thank you.
So thank you very much. We really appreciate your great talk and your presence here. There is one question. Sorry. So to nurture a startup which isn't bootstrap, you'll need connections, be it a consumer or an investor. How do you efficiently and effectively connect to people of interest?
Yes. Yes, this is really, really great question. So utilize all your organic resources. For example, I used to reach out to people using whatever free resources I had. LinkedIn, emails, or for example, like I have friends who used to work in food industry. So I talk to them, hey, this is my product video and this is a set of questions. Can you set up a meeting for me? Or if not, they're really busy, can you get all these answers? So whatever free resources, organic resources you can get, you should use that. And then how to build connection. So what I have realized over the time is, so initially I'm talking this like 5 years from now, I used to hesitate in reaching out to people. He's so senior, I'm not sure whether he or she will reply or not. I don't have anything to show. But be aggressive, no matter what people think, just reach out to them. You need help and you gotta need to reach out. So remove that layer and just freely reach out to people. And in my case, at least I'm grateful enough, so I got reply most of the time. At least I have got honest feedback. One of the most rude feedback I got is, this is bullshit. Don't waste my time. But that's okay. It's a feedback and it's okay for me. Like, this is how you validate your idea. It was bullshit for him. Maybe it's a data point, right? So whatever feedback you are getting is a data point, and try to collect as many data points you can collect. And then at the end of the day, make an analysis whether you have positive data points or negative data points. And then this is how you make a decision.
Okay.
But yeah, I think for this question, I think Gaurav has asked, so I would be happy to connect and like show our documents, so how we used to build this internal validation. If you really looking for this answer in depth, we can connect offline.
Thank you very much. Again, an applaud from all of us.
All right, yeah. Thanks,
And we
everyone.
will be in touch.